Welcome to the Making Sales Social podcast, featuring the top voices in sales, marketing, and business. Join Bryn Tillman and me, Bob Woods, as we each bring you the best tips and strategies our guests are teaching their clients, so you can leverage them for your own virtual and social selling. Enjoy the show. My guest today is C. Lee Smith, Chief Executive Officer of Sales Fuel, a company that's revolutionizing the sales industry by harnessing exclusive insights to fuel high-impact sales intelligence and marketing research. Lee has 30 years of leadership and sales experience under his belt and is recognized as one of the leading sales consultants in the world by Selling Power magazine. He's also the author of the Amazon bestseller, Sales Cred, How Buyers Qualify Sellers. So you could say that credibility is definitely his jam. Now, I ran across two articles he recently authored for sales industry magazines. He wrote, How Can AI Build and Destroy Your Credibility as a Salesperson for Selling Power magazine, as well as Will AI Work for you, or against you? I should make sure that comes out right. Will AI work for you or against you? The choice is yours. And he wrote that for Sales and Marketing Management magazine. Both are fascinating looks at AI and sales, and I highly recommend you read both of them. We're going to have links to both of those in the show notes so that you can read them as well. We've been discussing here on Making Sales Social the power of AI as a tool in your sales toolkit, albeit a very big, basic tool in that toolkit, but definitely a tool. But we haven't really looked at how AI can actually challenge your sales credibility. We'll be examining that as well as other areas involving AI and sales in today's episode. With that, welcome to Making Sales Social, Lee.
Hey, my pleasure, Bob. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So our first traditional question to everyone here on Making Sales Social is, and you can probably guess it from here, what does Making Sales Social mean to you?
For me, it's about building credibility at every stage of the sales funnel. For the end result, then, if you do all those things, then it makes closing a heck of a lot easier, allows you to delight customers, and allows you really to earn referrals that's going to generate repeat business for you.
That is probably one of the most succinct answers that we've had on here yet. An entirely accurate answer that I could not agree with more. I definitely appreciate that. So let's get back to your Selling Power article, which, as I've stated already, I really enjoyed. So there's a sub-headline in there that I think really strikes at the heart of AI and use as a sales tool. It's not a be-all, end-all type of thing in sales. So the specific subhead reads, Sell like a robot, get replaced by a robot. Now, in the past, I've said, if you use AI, you're going to sound like a robot because a robot reads everything or writes everything for you, and you don't go back and edit it and make it sound like your own. You take it definitely into another area that I never thought before. So selling like a robot and getting replaced by a robot. Can you explain that phrasing and why it's such a pitfall for salespeople?
Yeah, I mean, there was a study done by Gartner in 2022 that was that basically said that 72% of B2B decision makers don't think that salespeople can adequately address their problems and help them solve the problems or address their needs.
That's
And
scary.
so with that, then they prefer a rep-free experience because they get no value out of dealing with the salesperson. So if you have AI doing all your work for you, if you rely on AI too heavily as a crutch, like you do your other technology, like your marketing automation system and your drip campaigns and all that sort of thing, then the question becomes, why do you matter? And
Right.
I think a better example of this is actually in the B2C world. If you look at people hate dealing with car salespeople, I think we can agree on that.
Yep.
And so with that, you see all these apps coming up where it's like you can just click a couple buttons on the app and everything like that and have a car show up at your door, and you never have to talk to a salesperson. So that speaks even more so to the credibility of auto salespeople, which is really the only people that rank lower in credibility than automotive salespeople are members of Congress. So, and so people are trying to avoid them wherever possible because they feel like they just make the buying process harder for them and more painful rather than make it easier and more helpful. And so therefore they're turning to apps to get away from them. So if AI can do all that for you, okay, particularly if you're acting purely transactional in the sales process, then AI can do that. What's your value? What's the point of you being involved in the process? And so that's what I mean by if you sell like a robot, you'll be replaced by a robot, because robots are a lot cheaper. They never take PTO days. And, they typically will do what they're told. Not always, but typically.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and we're seeing examples of AI not doing what they're being told, but
That's right.
unlike but unlike people who may not necessarily come around to trading, AI should come around to not not putting out graphics and photos of people that you didn't ask for or historically inaccurate, or things along those natures, which along that nature, which if you haven't been following AI and when it
Right.
comes to stuff like that lately, that has definitely been a pretty big
Or
deal
draw me a
in the
picture
past
of a
week or so.
banana, and they won't draw you a picture of a banana, it'll draw you a bunch of bananas, because AI has basically been trained that bananas come in bunches. So you have to be very specific with that prompt to actually get to draw you a banana. But some people will look at it and say, I told AI to draw me a banana, it didn't draw me a banana, there's something wrong with it. It's even though there's probably something wrong with the way you asked it.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. It's definitely all about the prompting, and we've certainly talked about prompting. We've discussed prompting in many other episodes, so we're not going to get into specific prompts and things like that, because there's actually something slightly different that I want to talk about, and that's the delicate balance between leveraging AI for building an online presence for salespeople, but at the same time, they have to maintain authenticity and credibility
Mm-hmm.
while they are building their personal brand. Because let's face it, if they don't build their personal brand, they might as well be a robot, like you just said. So hire a damn robot. So that's why personal branding is important.
Yep.
So how can salespeople keep that balance while accurately reflecting their expertise and value proposition to prospective clients?
Well, as I think about that question, Bob, I'm thinking about, earlier in my career, I used to believe that, I used to push back on people that said perception is reality. And, then as we get more into the digital age, it became apparent to me that, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. I was always told that too. And the thing is that Google really makes your first impression, and LinkedIn makes your
Hmm.
first impression for you. And we did a study called the State of Credibility in America. And we've done this 2 years now. And 71% of B2B buyers say that not only do they research your company, but they research you as a salesperson. They vet you as a salesperson before they'll bother to take a call or a meeting with you. They need to see if you're a legitimate salesperson. Will it be a waste of time? Will it come back to bite them being associated with you in any way? So you really have to think about what Google search says about you. But getting back
Yep.
to my career evolution, so I pushed back and just kind of said, no, reality is reality, and that part is also true. So where I've landed now is, with all the years of experience now, is that your perception and your reality need to be in alignment. Yeah,
Right.
so who you present yourself to be online needs to be who shows up in person. Or I like to tell salespeople, no catfishing, in
Right.
social sales, right? So,
Yep.
so when you show up, it needs to be the same person then that's online. And so if that person online looks a different way, sounds a different way, when they write, they sound very succinct and concise and accurate. But when you show up, if you're rambling and you don't have command of your facts, you don't have executive presence and everything like that, it quite frankly, it really harms your credibility, destroys your credibility actually, because you're not being your authentic self online, and you can't basically be that person in person.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and it can get as simple as something that we preach a lot here at Social Sales Link, just with your LinkedIn profile headshot. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if you are kind of like me and you're in a quarter zip, and sometimes I have a t-shirt on underneath it, but other times I'll have a dress shirt on underneath it or whatever, that's how you should look in your photo as well. You should look how you present yourself every single day, more than likely in a Zoom meeting, kind of like what this a podcast episode is. It's a freaking Zoom meeting.
Hmm.
And if you show up, if you have your photo taken in a full three-piece type of thing, and you're looking all sharp and suave and James Bond like, and then you come across during a Zoom meeting looking like this, there's already that disconnect there. So I
Well,
mean,
yeah, think about too is like, when you see a real estate agent's photo on one of those signs or whatever,
yeah.
and it was like from like a decade ago, and then you meet
Mhm.
them in person, where, whoa, wait a minute, you
Yeah.
look nothing like your photo. It's like, am I talking to the right person here?
Yeah, current photo is obviously very important too. So I guess the question kind of spins out of that though is how can salespeople ensure their online presence, especially if they're using AI, accurately does reflect their expertise and value prop to their prospective clients?
Well, obviously, right, like you talk, and if you're using AI, I mean, Bren does a really great job of showing how to use AI prompts, for example, to sound more like you talk.
Hmm.
The thing that really to keep in mind here is that 20% of B2B buyers say that they've already seen content online that looks like a computer wrote it.
Yeah.
And so you have to make sure that, what you put up there online, whether it be in your LinkedIn profile, or more importantly in the LinkedIn articles that you post, or in comments and everything like that, it needs to make sure that it's genuine, and it comes from the heart. So for that, I would say use your AI, right? I mean, we came out with a tool for sales credibility called Sales Cred Pro. It's got AI all over it, but we always caution people, use this as a first draft. Whether it's
Yes.
writing an email or making a comment or something like that, it's your first draft, and then add your humanity to it. So, the EQ needs to follow the AI. Never can one go exist without, AI can't really exist without EQ in the sales world. So you need to bring your
Mhm.
humanity to that, basically, and modify it. So, how you feel, how you talk, and everything like that. And when you do that, then it's so much easier to polish something that somebody else wrote than to try to stare at a blank screen or a blank
Yes.
page. And that's how I would recommend everybody use AI.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And just for the people out there who don't know, EQ in your mind stands for.
Emotional intelligence.
Okay. That's what I was almost positive that that's what you meant, but I just wanted to make sure. And the one thing that I always encourage people to do, which if you've listened to my stuff or read my stuff in the past, you're going to be sick of me hearing this, but part of it is hearing it. Read the stuff out loud.
Yeah.
If it doesn't sound like you reading out loud, or as you're reading it, you're going, "Oh my God, this so does not sound like me." Guess what? It doesn't sound like you. So rewrite it.
That's a
That's
very
like
good
one,
tip. I like that.
yeah, is one of the easiest things that you can do. So I actually want to get back to your state of credibility in America
Hmm.
study, because in your sales and marketing management article, you got a stat in there that I found not only surprising, but I got to admit a little disheartening. Says that fewer than 1 in 4 Americans believe that salespeople are incredible in what they say and do. So you know what that means? 3 out of 4 don't believe a damn thing that we say from the
Hmm.
get-go. So,
Yeah.
given skepticism around salespeople's credibility, can AI be used to reinforce trustworthiness of sales professionals in the eyes of their potential buyers? And, if so, great. If not, what other things can people do besides use AI for that?
Well, it can also reinforce things the other way. So, I mean, that's again where you have to be careful. So the problem with the one out of
Yeah.
four stat is it's like, and that's a stat that's still held steady from 3 years ago. It
Hmm.
was 25% of salespeople were viewed as credible. Now it's 24%. So pretty much within the margin of error, where
Oh,
that
geez.
stats remain pretty steady. The
Hmm.
issue with that is that every salesperson starts every new relationship from behind. And the problem
Way
with that
behind.
is that it's based off of past salespeople.
Yeah.
And again, to do this job, all right, we don't have to be certified or licensed or board approved or anything like that
For most,
to
not all, but for most.
right,
Yeah.
right. But some people do, like in real estate and everything like that, you
Yeah.
do,
Real estate
sure. But
investment, stuff like that. Yeah.
exactly. But for most part, no. And what happens is that you have salespeople out there that bend the truth, that exaggerate, that overpromise, underdeliver. They don't fulfill their promises. And the problem of it is that it only takes one or two basically to burn a buyer, then for that buyer then to be skeptical of all salespeople. Just like any industry, we're really evaluated by our worst practitioners. I don't care if you're
Yeah.
a doctor, a chiropractor, that car salesperson I talked about before. uh,
Yep.
and, and so, and so that's the real problem there. So AI can actually help us improve. I call it the trust accelerator. Is that we can actually accelerate, improve our credibility digitally anyway, and then you still have to come around then and improve your credibility in person. So it's online first and in person. And so in that sense, it's like AI can definitely help you do that by what you post, what you comment on, that sort of thing, because to present yourself then as a credible expert advisor, that they've been looking for. So, I put together in my book, in Sales Cred, the hierarchy of sales credibility, and it starts with, what the internet says about you. So that's
Right.
Google, that's LinkedIn, that's everything online. Then it gets into what you say, and then how you say it. How you say it is where the emotional intelligence takes place, and the self-awareness then it's what you do. You have to deliver what you say you do. Not only is that basically the start of building trust, but it's also then fortifying your credibility. And the idea there is to get to the pinnacle of sales credibility when you are trusted so much in what you say and what you do that the buyer actually feels comfortable then in recommending you and introducing you to other people and sharing their credibility with you. And
Yeah.
so that's where AI can actually help every step of the way. But again, if salespeople use it as a crutch, and that's my pet peeve,
Yeah.
then it's actually going to reinforce your lack of credibility rather than demonstrate your credibility.
Yeah. Could not agree more with that. So let's go back to there's a point that you made that I want to expand on a little bit more, and that's when people go searching for salespeople and products and things like that. I want to talk a little bit about, you we've got SEO, and
Hmm.
SEO has been great up until about a year ago,
Yep.
with AI. So, and maybe there's a way that we can use AI to do this. I'm not sure, but let's talk a little bit about how other people use AI specifically to search for you and research you, your company, and your industry, and how that's kind of changing that initial discovery process for the people who are looking for services, goods, or whatever, because we've all been drilled with SEO for so long, and now they're going to another source that's totally different from Google.
Yeah, and with that, it's like we notice that a lot of B2B buyers now. It's not a majority yet, but a lot of
Hmm.
B2B buyers say that using AI helps them make the buying process easier for them. So
Yeah.
what you have to do is think of, like, it's one thing to think about how Mother Google, presents you, but now you also have to
Hmm.
think about what if someone's just searching me through AI or asking AI then to tell them all about me, what shows up? Easiest way to do it, quite frankly, is to go to AI and ask it.
Ask. Yeah.
I mean, that's the easiest thing to do, and I think you really have to take into consideration, and then what AI says about you, what Google says about you, what LinkedIn says about you, and those are the things that we've compiled in our Sales Cred Pro tool, then to automate that process so that you don't have to be constantly, hitting yourself up and feeling like a narcissist because you're Googling yourself or AIing
Yeah.
yourself all the time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. So I guess the other question that springs to mind for me in terms of this directly is when it comes to Googling yourself or AIing yourself. I don't know if that's going to be a phrase or not, but whatever.
You
You
heard it
know,
here first, people.
yeah, exactly. You heard it here first. Quote me. I get 10% off of anything that you get from that quote.
I still own the
But
trademark.
but when it comes to people searching for you and your competitors, and especially the interplay of that and determining which is better and which is worse, that's probably another way that people are using AI to do that. So my question as a salesperson would be, well, how do I make sure that I always come out on top when it
Well,
comes
I
to
mean,
the comparison thing?
Yeah, I think that situation is like, what we have the tool to do is to monitor your competition, not just the company, but also then who's that one salesperson that you always find yourself going up against or whatever that annoys the heck out of you.
Yeah.
Probably because they're so good. And or for that matter, then take a look who's the top salesperson in your company if you're not it. Or if
Hmm.
you think you're it, like who's the second best, and take a look about how they show up online, and what does you know what is their perceived expertise, that the buyer sees, and compare it to you, and what is your perceived expertise. And again, this is where credibility is not what it doesn't matter if you think you're credible. It only matters if the buyer thinks you're credible. And it
Right.
doesn't matter what you think your expertise is. It only matters what they think your expertise is. And so that's how AI is being used, much like how Google was used before that and still being used, quite
Hmm.
frankly. Let's not kid ourselves.
Right.
Uh, and the idea there is that, we want to stand out as a trusted advisor that makes sense of complexity and solves high priority problems. So not solving the little problems, we're solving, because if you solve the little problems, you're going to make the little money. If you solve the big problems, you're going to make the big money.
Yep.
And so that's how you want to stand out. But specifically, you want to stand out and being able to do that, in a relevant way, meaning their line of business, their industry, to their customers. And that's why then too, credibility not only differs from person to person, but it also differs then, from each person's line of business and their
Mhm.
frame of reference, their perspective. And so those are the things you really have to take into consideration, when you're talking about who's your ideal customer. And okay, what are they looking for? What's their industry? That's their line of business. Who are their customers? And do I come across as somebody that can solve high priority problems, for those customers or for in that line of business?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you always want to be seen as much more than just a salesperson. You want to be seen as the expert, the go-to person
Mm-hmm.
in your industry. I've used that phrase often, and I still believe in that because when you're the go-to person, you know you know your stuff, and that's how you're perceived. And you nailed it before with perception. You may believe that you are, but if other people don't perceive that,
Yeah, you
then
want to set the bar. You want other people comparing themselves to you. And you want to be
Mhm.
establishing the ground rules about how decisions are being made as best you can. I mean, the buyer is always going to do that. But if you can influence then, what the ground rules are, and the terms of engagement and everything like that, then it's like everyone else is trying to play catch up with you. That's ultimately where you want to be. But if you don't have credibility, you can't do it. And if you don't have the experience, if you don't have the sales acumen or the business acumen, you can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to shift gears just a little bit because currently I'm in a online class, executive education for Northwest at Northwestern Kellogg, having to do with AI and planning at a high level and all different types of organizations, not just sales and B2B and stuff like that. One of the things that they showed during class today was a video of people that somehow they equipped with like cameras and like two-way communication and everything, going into like a Whole Foods and kind of documenting their experiences and asking questions and things like that. And just the readouts and what AI was doing with that information was just incredible. And like I said,
Mm-hmm.
I literally saw that this morning, and that goes into a question that we had discussed earlier, but I just want to bring that up just because what AI can do nowadays to record emotional intelligence is it's mind blowing. I mean, I was
Mm-hmm.
watching this video, and I've used this line a couple of times in our group coaching and things like that. Now I am picking up pieces of my brain around my office because my head is blowing up constantly with all the stuff that we're learning in
Do
this
I need to
AI
call
class.
somebody for you, Bob?
Yeah,
I
exactly. Oh yeah.
mean,
They've been here several times already, believe me. Um, but I guess, considering emotional intelligence required in sales specifically now. So that was obviously a situation where people are going into a retail environment, and they're gauging reactions to the retail environment. We need to switch this over more to sales for us now. But, considering the emotional intelligence, there. Where do you draw the line in using AI to read potential clients' cues during digital interactions?
I think I kind of think of in terms of like a translator. You can get your iPhone out, and you can use it then to translate conversations so that you can talk to somebody, for example, that you don't speak their language, but it's cumbersome. And
Yeah.
the other thing is that you can't make an emotional connection by doing that. And so I
Right.
would say the same thing applies then to AI. You can use AI. It's fantastic for facial recognition and sentiment recognition and picking up all kinds of social cues that quite frankly most people miss, and so
hmm
it's great for that. But in terms of trying to force an emotional connection, and I'm thinking about like one sales tool, for example, that purely uses AI, and people are made, wow, it sounds just like a regular person and everything like that. The problem of it is that it was trained to be the most high pressure, arm twisting salesperson there
Oh.
is, that won't leave you alone, that pretends like it's your buddy and everything like
hmm
that. And quite frankly, it's everything you hate about sales put into an AI bot.
Yeah.
And so that's where we have to be really careful. Again, it's still about the human connection. And it's like, and I think that AI still got a ways to go there.
Yeah.
It can certainly be helpful as an assistant for us. It can
Yep.
certainly be helpful in doing mundane tasks.
Yeah.
So that, hey, we're making the big money, so we want to be doing big money tasks. We don't want to be doing menial tasks.
Right.
And so that's where AI can definitely come into play. But like, and AI is a tool, and just like any tool, it depends on how you use it. And so my uh, uh, opinion there is like, be careful how you use it. Don't use it to replace humanity.
Right.
Use AI to then to help you get the most out of your humanity.
Yeah. Could not agree more with that. So, speaking of humanity, uh, I want to flip the script for a second and talk about sales management and their feelings, the manager's feelings, upper management or whatever, about their salespeople building their own brands along with the companies. So for this, let's say I'm a sales manager who only wants my salespeople to share articles from the company, not build their own brand, not have their own opinion, just type in a line or two, link to the company article, and boom, and send it out, and that's it. I obviously don't believe this personally, but I do want to get
I've
your
seen it. I've
yeah.
seen it. Yeah.
I have to can't tell you how many times I've seen it and I just wince all the time. But I do want you to convince me as that sales manager why I'm wrong specifically, and also how AI can work into this, because I think one of the things as a sales manager that I would think if I did have that philosophy is I don't want my people on social all day long and doing all this stuff. Why not just have them share an article and go out and make more cold calls and stuff like that. So convince me why I'm wrong, and how AI can definitely be a help to in this situation.
Well, but before I do that, let me just kind of say, I'm going to summarize what I heard you say is like, well, basically the sales managers want robots.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
they
without
want
a
us,
doubt.
yeah. So, and the thing is that sales doesn't work that way,
Right. Yeah.
so,
Not even
uh,
close.
no, so how I would basically convince you is that B2B buyers have told us in a separate study we have done called Voice of the B2B Buyer. We do this every year at Sales Fuel. And
hmm
71% of us tell them that they don't only research the company, but they also research the salesperson before they'll talk to you, or they'll have a meeting. 71%. So your personal brand matters, as well as the company brand matters. Ideally, you want the two things to be in alignment. All
Sure.
right. So you don't want, as a salesperson, you don't want to be going out there and saying something that's contrary then to what the company is saying, or doing, and certainly not doing anything that the company wouldn't do. You want to be in alignment, and if you're not in alignment with your company brand,
Mhm.
then you got a problem. Quite frankly, you should consider switching company brands. So it's sort of like if you think about the 2x2 matrix there, where you've got company credibility on one side and you've got your personal brand, your personal credibility on the other hand. It's like, to get into that upper quadrant, then both your company credibility has to be high, and that's something that your company controls, quite frankly. And how they conduct business and how the CEO demonstrates their behavior, what marketing does, and everything like that. but you also have to do the same thing. And when you have those two things in alignment, now you have somebody then that can not only represent the company and do that well and do that the way the sales manager wants that done, but you also have somebody then that can make that personal connection. That's somebody that when the buyer, quite frankly, goes to work for another company, they'll call you up because they have a personal relationship with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can't want the relationship to be only with the company because the relationship's also going to be with the person.
Right. Right. Yeah. And companies think that they can own those relationships. And as we've seen time and time and time again, that's just not it. It can be the case sometimes, but by and large, it's not. It's always with the salesperson. So with that, given your extensive experience, Lee, 30 years, 30 plus years, how many years exactly?
35.
35. Oh my
You
God,
get to a
I'm
point,
way
Bob, basically
underballed
where you
that.
actually don't want to quote the number. But I started at a very early age. Okay. So I mean my first sales job was in high school. So
Oh,
yeah.
I was
And
gonna
I'm
say
not I'm
out of the womb.
and I'm not
I
yeah, no, I'm
wasn't
not
far
counting
off.
lemonade stands because I've done that too. But it's like, no, I'm talking about, actual real sales making real money.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's something. That is definitely something. Good for you. Good for you. So, given that very extensive experience from a very young age, although this part isn't about youth as much, but what future advancements do you anticipate in these AI tools? Which I mean, AI has truly been around for like about a year when it comes to like full general availability, and how do you anticipate this will impact the industry?
I got a couple different thoughts on that, and one is that I already see this happening. For example, if you are a LinkedIn premium user, for example, you don't actually have to click on a link then to actually go see an article. LinkedIn will go and summarize that article for you. So they keep you in LinkedIn. It's sort of like how they keep you in the casino in Las Vegas at all cost, right?
Yep.
So, but the problem of it is that people that are content creators, are no longer getting the reward of putting that content out there. So they're not coming to the website, therefore they're not seeing the products and services that we have. They're not clicking around on other places on our website because they never go there. Then when you think about then, outside of LinkedIn, obviously, again, it's like there's no reward, and AI in many cases then are, can actually browse that information, and we're going to be seeing more of that and everything like that without revealing who the source is or getting the source wrong or not
Right.
providing a link to the source unless you specifically ask for it. And so again,
Or it
content
hallucinates on
creators
something. Yeah.
or hallucination, which is even worse. So
Yep.
content creators are not being rewarded for that. And if it's good content, not just content you put out there to try to, generate traffic for SEO purposes, you're going to take your good content, quite frankly, that you're not going to get credit for, and you're going to put that behind a paywall. And I'm already
Yep.
seeing this happen. And
It's
and so unfortunately, then the quality of the data that AI is going to be able then to access then, over time is not going to be as useful, as as perhaps it was, in the past. So,
mhm.
that being said, another thought I have on that is like, I'm on my fourth Tesla right now. And I will tell you that, the full self-driving, for example, was phenomenal when it first came out because like your mind was blown about all the stuff it can do. And
Mhm.
what's happened is that as we get more and more advanced and try to, take it to another level and everything like that, despite all of the, hundreds and thousands, if not millions of Teslas out there or whatever that is training that AI engine and providing data to it and everything like that, the progress for improvement has been much, much slower over time. And so
Hmm.
I think that, to get to a point where, wow, your mind is blown and everything like that is great, but to actually get it to a point where it actually threatens, I mean, this disrupts people's jobs, threatens people's jobs, and like
Right.
that. I mean, it certainly. I mean, people, for example, if you are transactional in sales, you should be worried about AI. If you
Mhm.
are in a role where people don't want to talk to you, okay, I'm thinking about entire rooms full of customer service reps and everything like that. If I can talk to a chat bot and get the answer that I need quicker and everything like that, you should be worried about that. But as far as everybody else goes, you know, as time goes on, as we try to refine it and make it more precise and all of that, whatever, I think it's going to take a little longer. to have that kind of advancement. So right now the advancement's pretty fast, but I think over time or whatever to as we refine it, then it's going to take a little while. If you know, quite frankly, if Tesla can be any indication with their full self-driving.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, that's one of the things that I'm learning in this class I was talking about earlier is refreshing and retraining when it comes to data and things like that, and how often that should happen. And it just sounds like in a Tesla situation, there's so much data coming in that
Hmm.
I don't want to say it's getting dumber, but it's just it's getting over, maybe it's getting overwhelmed, and there's so many different data points coming in from so many different areas that it's the model's not really sure exactly how to handle it.
It's like the old concept of the last mile. So it's like, we can get you your phone service, your cable TV, or your internet bandwidth and everything like that. You know, getting it to your neighborhood's easy. Getting it to the last mile is what costs and what takes
Yeah,
more time. So I think it's the same thing is going to be applying here.
yeah. So, I mean, we talked about a lot of future stuff there. And we're kind of like, things are you seeing anything positive out there?
I'm seeing lots of things positive. I love AI. I work with it every day. I work in improving my prompts and my skills there every single day. I think it's fascinating. It's like even and the thing is that just like it is with people, it's messy, right? So it's
Yeah,
like for every advancement that we see, there's something messy about it. Like
yeah,
okay, we're presenting white people as black people, as Hispanic people when they really weren't, or
right.
it's like we're talking about some politicians but not other politicians and everything like that, and so people complain about it,
Yeah,
and unfortunately then that undermines then the credibility of AI.
yeah,
And so there's an issue there, but the thing is like every time that there's an advancement that happens, all right, there's always people then that have a stake, quite frankly, in not seeing things advance, because they like the way things are and the way things have always been, and so they'll push back against it every chance that they get, and they'll use whatever data point that they can get. And so we will continue to see that with AI, is that for every advancement there will be pushback because it won't be perfect. It'll be a little bit messy. But the beautiful thing about it is there is advancement there.
yeah,
And the advancement really is going to come from not necessarily the tool itself, but how we use the tool and
right.
find
Because
new
we
ways to
are,
use the
yep,
tool. That's going to be the really cool part, and it's already the really cool part, but will
yeah.
be even more cool going forward.
Machine learning, baby. That's what it's all about.
Hmm.
100%. So before we wrap up here, I always love those one thing you can do right now kind of takeaways. So leave from for those salespeople after we've talked about so many other things underneath the AI sun here. But for those salespeople who still might be on the fence with adding AI as a valuable tool to their sales toolbox, which we've talked about quite a bit, what's one thing they can do right now to dip their proverbial big toe into the water?
Well, and here's something that I offer then to everybody in your audience. So the one thing you can do right
Sure.
now is think about your digital credibility, not from your perspective, but from the buyer's perspective.
Hmm.
If you can't improve it, you can't manage it if you can't measure it. So start by measuring it. And we've got a tool called the Digital Cred Check in Sales Cred Pro that does exactly that. It will build your digital credibility by first measuring it, then provide specific suggestions for improving it by aligning your digital footprint with what your professional expertise is, so prospects will perceive your value accurately. And you can do that by going to salescred.com and get a free 7-day trial. So you can try out the digital cred check tool, play around with it, also enjoy using the AI with all the other tools that are there. Do that free for 7 days. And we encourage everybody to do that. But first, think about your credibility. Think about your ability to build trust. Not from your perspective, but from the buyer's perspective. And then to be able to manage it, you have to measure it and then measure it again.
Okay, very good, very good. And if our listeners want to get in touch with you or find out more about you and what you do, want to pick your brain or whatever, how would they do that?
Well, you obviously connect with me on LinkedIn. We always
There you go.
encourage that, right?
Love that.
Know
Love
your
that.
audience, Bob.
Yes.
But you go to my website, C Lee Smith. That's the letter C, then leesmith.com. Salescred.com is the website for all things sales credibility, whether it be the book, whether it be the free Sales Cred app, our master classes, and of course the Sales Cred Pro app. Salesfuel.com is also the web address then for my company. And all three of those things, great ways to connect with me. I love the conversations. I love hearing from other people who get just as jazzed about this stuff like I do, which is why I love to be on your show today, Bob.
Yeah, this is, I mean, AI obviously is, I find it fascinating and definitely the next big thing. Like I would not have sunk the money that I sunk into taking this class either, and just being constantly challenged in a good way by it, if I didn't think that
It
this
sounds
is
fascinating. It really does.
it's really truly fascinating. I don't know when they're going to be running it next, but there are people from like government in it. There are people from all the big four consulting firms in it, as well as companies. Many of them that some are smaller. It's just there are hundreds and hundreds of people in this class,
And
it's
that's really
just
the
great.
opportunity there with AI, because if you think about it, look at all you mentioned the big four consulting groups and like that, they're scrambling. They're
Yeah.
scrambling to try to understand it, get their arms around it and everything like that. So guess what? If you can do that right now, all of a sudden now you're on par with those folks. Right.
Hmm.
That's where, I mean, if you can be there, that's a great
Yeah.
place to be. But keep in mind, it's like they're just trying to figure it out too. They don't have
Yeah.
all the answers, far from it. And that's why they're
Yeah.
sending people to classes like this and everything like that. So get your butt in those chairs,
Yeah.
and be right next to them.
Yeah, Accenture, Deloitte. Watch out, I'm coming. So with
Yeah.
that,
Gartner
Sealy.
too, by golly.
Yeah, exactly. Bastards. Anyhow, C. Lee Smith, the CEO of Salesforce and an expert on helping salespeople multiply revenue opportunities by elevating credibility. And this has all been about credibility too, folks. So never ever forget that, building credibility with your buyers. That's just crucial. Lee, thank you for joining us and making sales social today.
Thank you so much, Bob.
Appreciate it. And thank you for streaming this episode of Making Sales Social. So remember, when you're out and about this week, be sure to make your sales social. Thanks for watching, and join us again for more special guest instructors bringing you marketing, sales training, and social selling strategies that will set you apart. Hit the subscribe button below to get the latest episodes from the Making Sales Social podcast. Give this video a thumbs up and comment down below on what you want to hear from us next. You can also listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Play. Visit our website, socialsaleslink.com, for more information.